All right, so let's go back now to our top three. Okay, so start from number 3 and work our way up to number 1 of our favorite of all time. If we can, I mean, I know this is tough, especially for gamers.
Yeah.
So,
Boy.
let's do our best. Raymond, you got one? What's your number 3?
My number 3 would have to start at I'd start it at Rainbow Six Siege. Like,
Okay.
comes from the Tom Clancy stuff.
I played the very first one on PC.
I remember that. That's a good one. I played it on PS3 because I was like down bad and I only had my PS3 and I was just like, man, I'm gonna try it. I don't even care.
Now, how much different is like the newest generation of Rainbow Six compared to the old school one?
The old school one was completely Call of Duty based. I was just like, what is this? Like,
The original one was like, no, you have your team and you have to plan out like an actual plan to go, with like. To clear a building or whatever. Like, all right, these guys are going to run down the hall and they're going to go clear this room. And they're going to throw a flashbang in this room and run there.
Right,
and you have to make the path for the guys. Is it still like that?
in Rainbow, it's completely like exactly like that, but it's not more about clearing rooms. It's about who you can hear and how fast you can call it out.
Okay.
It's instant directions to make a whole game up. So, like, for example, there's already, like, who you're going to pick on what map you're going to pick against what team you think they're going to pick.
Right.
And what room they're going to pick first.
Okay.
Because they have 4 rooms, and you have 4 places to spawn. And if you mess up, you can spawn in a place where they can see you from their place to your spawn and kill you. So you have to think about, like, what room are they going to use? And at the beginning, they can really give out everything. Like, if we were talking about house and they spawn garage, they would be reinforcing the doors. So you take your drone up to the doors and you'd be like, okay, they're garage, let's go APC and go upstairs. So from upstairs, we rush all the way down and clear the rooms from all the way upstairs to downstairs. Easily.
So it's
like,
basically about trying to stay 2 steps ahead of the opponent.
And
it's like cops and robbers, like SWAT versus like infiltrators.
Literally. And if they have a character I like to play a lot, because I'm a little sneaky man, I like to play Caveira. She's like a Brazilian operator, and she
showed up in one of the Ghost Recon games.
Yeah, Caveira and Twitch showed up.
Yes,
and that was pretty cool. I was like, good addition, but Caveira runs around like a dog. I'm like,
so. So you chose that game? Why? Because of the strategy
I chose that
of
game because I've been playing since beta, and my mind hasn't changed about the game at all. It's still like the same. There's no meta. There's no absolute character that's gonna win every time. Every time that a character has a busted hitbox, it gets patched immediately, and Ubisoft is like, "We got you. Like, this is it. It's fixed. Go play the game. Tell us about ranked." They'd give us test servers on PS4 to be like, "Okay, test it out. Give us a little feedback." And I was like, hey, man, if I can have such a balanced game where I'm still having fun and still having fun competitively at the same time, let's do it. I like it.
It is like high-speed 4D chess.
Jesus.
I could never get into that game because it's so like, there's so many decisions you have to make in a split second in that game that it absolutely just, like, I get in and I'm like, I can't.
I'm overloaded.
I can't even touch it.
Yeah.
Can't even touch it. Like, how am I supposed to know what windows they reinforced, where they are, how they, and then, like, people will, like, peek at you and pop, you're dead just in a second. I'm like, I can't play anything like that. It's
but
crazy.
that's always the problem with playing online. People are just so much better.
No,
But
yeah.
imagine being on his level, like, being able to, like, man, I couldn't imagine how high stakes that is. That's
still
fantastic.
frustrated. PC had the little movements with Q and E where they would just lean without pressing the aim button. I was just like, advantage, like, whatever. But I didn't play with them, so I didn't care.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
This game sucks, man. All right, what's your number 3?
Metal Gear Solid 5, as broken as it is.
Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, full disclosure, I've never played any of the Metal Gear series.
Beautiful series. It's great. I'm not even going to say too much. It's just, it's a lot. I couldn't even begin to describe. It's like one of those overly complex plot lines that spans over, like, more than 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm going to say it right now, like, my entire top 3 revolves around Metal Gear, all games of that series. And, like, since you haven't played it, and, like, I'm not so sure if every viewer's played it, it's a story game, so I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it's like a total war game.
Okay.
It's tactical espionage action, so you're sneaking around. The goal is to not get seen as much as possible. It's the game that started the whole stealth mechanics.
Mhm.
Like every single game that you see nowadays with guns and stealth. Splinter Cell, remember
Splinter
that?
Cell.
Yeah,
Was
that
Siphon
was
Filter one of them also.
Siphon Filter. So these are games that were inspired by Metal Gear, that whole sneaking aspect and everything. But like, mwah, great mechanics, great story, great gameplay all around. Like fantastic games.
Okay. Now I'm gonna throw one out of left field here for my number 3. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this game. It was for PlayStation 1. It was called The Legend of Dragoon.
Wow.
So it was a 4-disc RPG. And
Buddy.
it was like basically like a turn-based RPG, but instead of just like, all right, I want this attack, press that button. It was actually like the way it worked, the mechanics of it, where it would show like a small square on your screen, and it would show your character running out to do the attack, and then there would be a bigger square that would kind of spin and slowly get smaller. And once it lined up with the smaller square, you would have to time it and hit the button, hit X, and it would do it, and it would be like 5 or 6 in a row depending on how complicated the attack was. And that was how the mechanics of it worked. Plus there was like a really cool story. It was kind of like made its own universe where you were these warriors called dragoons, and it was weird, but it was so much fun. And I remember it was so long, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I was so mad they never made a sequel. They never did anything with it. Never made like a TV show.
No, man, I know that was a good series. Like I never actually played it myself back in the day, but like I've seen some gameplay of it on whatchamacallit. I know it gets like really complex with the mechanics, even more so than they even tell you in the game. Like there's like button combos, like kind of like fighting games.
No, nothing like that. It was literally like you have one button. Oh, and then sometimes like if the opponent would counter, you would have to press a different button when it lined up.
Yeah.
So it would kind of do that like at the last second. You're like, oh shit, and try not to mess it up.
They had something like that in some of the Final Fantasies where if you press the attack button at the same time as your character sliced the sword, it was like double damage. So you'd have to know what the attacks sounded like. So it'd be like, tsh, 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 and you have to press the button exactly on every press. It was a good time.
This one came out after Final Fantasy VII. So I had seen people play that, but I had never played it myself. And I'm like, oh, is this what they all are? And then I tried a regular RPG. I'm like, no, this is its own thing.
Yeah.
And that was why I liked it so much.
Man, I have a friend who really loves that game. Like played it growing up.
Yeah, that was great. But I don't know a lot of people that were really into it.
Right.
Final Fantasy 3 is a good game.
3?
Is it your number 2?
No. But it's it was like really pixelated RPG.
Yeah, back in the day.
Bro, it's like I don't even know. Something about that game is just like run through it, kill everything you see, and the story behind it's just like, why does it have a Destiny 2 type story on an 8-bit game?
Oh,
why does it look like this?
Man.
I'm just
You'd
like,
be
this
surprised.
makes no sense to me. I see the whole place. It's in my brain right now. I see it.
All right, Raymond, what's your number 2? Now this is of all time, your whole life. It could be Super Mario Brothers 2 if you want it. It doesn't matter. What is your top? What's your number 2 of all time?
Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. First
Okay.
one.
Oh.
I never really played the Call of Duty. I'm not big on shooters. Aside from Halo, I couldn't really do it.
That was the first game I hit my first no scope on. I still remember it to this day. Clear as day. I was sitting there with PS3 controller in my hand. There was a smoke out in front of me.
For anybody that's not familiar with gaming, explain to them what no scope means.
So you take the sniper you have and you completely forget about using the sniper and you just press the shoot button. And if you kill somebody, well, good job.
You
got
basically you don't look down the scope.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
You gotta think about where and why.
Yeah.
So I hit that, and then that just started a notion of wanting to get better at the game. Like every day I was just like, all right, there's something to get better about this game, and always was that, and that transferred into every single other Call of Duty.
Yeah, that game moved from regular just a shooting game online to people really showing out. We're talking
that created a community.
Yeah, people doing some really fancy,
I
unnecessary tricks.
Used to hop on his account because he's the only one who had the P90, and I wasn't gonna sit there for hours and unlock it. A P90, it's like a submachine gun where you can...
that's a weapon in the game.
Yeah, you could take
I'm like,
the
what,
clip
like
out.
P90X? like the workout videos?
Nah, but that gun was completely overpowered,
Yeah,
and
back
that's
in the
where I
day.
got my my little thing for sniping. I don't know where I got my pistols from, but my sniping was for sure embedded in that game, and the only reason I can look down sights and play Battlefield and be like, all right, 400, 300, bow, he's dead.
I could never
Okay.
snipe on a controller. Only mouse and keyboard.
Don't even get me started. All right, what's your number 2?
Oh man. So Metal Gear Solid 2, again part of the series. But if you want to switch it up, I would like to. You reminded me that one of my favorite games of all time is Final Fantasy 9. It's a game that I didn't actually.
You throw that in as an honorable mention.
And an honorable mention, yeah, because I'm not. I could go into Metal Gear Solid 2, but I'd have to go into 1 and all that other stuff. So, Final Fantasy 9 was a game that like I saw in my childhood but never played, and played in my adulthood later on. That it was so good, it gave me nostalgia as a game I'd never even played as a kid. It's an amazing story, great graphics for PS1. Even nowadays, you boot it up and you're like, wow, that's fantastic. And active time battle, which is like the same as like any other regular Final Fantasy, attack, defend, or whatever. But the enemy, it's like based on a bar that goes up. When that bar is full, is your turn to attack. But the enemy also has their own bar that goes up. Oh. So it's active time. If you like are sitting there eating popcorn, the enemy's not going to wait for you to finish. It's going to attack every single time that bar is full. So you got to be ready to like move your team and exactly when those bars are filling up in coordination. So you got to like have a plan and tell who to defend and attack. Fantastic game. Besides that, the story is amazing.
Okay, so you want to make Metal Gear Solid 2 the honorable mention then?
No, Metal Gear Solid 2 honorable mention.
Okay. All right, so my number 2 is, now this is, disclaimer, I am not a fan of first-person shooting games. I don't like them. It's just not my cup of tea. It annoys me. But my number 2 is a first-person shooter. It's Halo Reach.
Halo Reach.
Now, I could say Halo 1 or Halo 2 because, all the times me and my friends played it, in somebody's house, up all night drinking beer. When Halo 2 came out, that was the first time I ever waited in line for, like, the midnight release. Like, me and my friend George, we waited in line for the midnight release. We got it. We skipped class the next day. We were in community college. A lot of good that did. And we just played all day. We did co-op, the whole campaign mode all the way through. And then we went home each, and then we just like crashed because we were up from the night before.
Dude.
But Halo Reach is actually my choice, and only because with that game, that was the first game I ever played online. Plus, I'm a sucker for like the customizable character. So when you could build, like, put together the armor for your Spartan and everything like that, that to me, like, I'm expressing myself to my Spartan. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the asshole that makes you listen to a song. Listen to the words, Listen to the words.
Yeah.
But, that game, because the story was great. The cutscenes were amazing. Like, you could change your armor and it shows up in the cutscene, which I thought was the coolest thing. Because no other games really did that. And still, they don't all do that,
Yeah, I can...
The voice acting was
great. The
great.
only game I can think of is like San Andreas, but it was like one character. You didn't really actually get to customize the character, but his clothes and his appearance and his weight and size and all that other stuff. Yeah. But
so I would have to say Halo Reach, even though I don't like first-person shooters, just because that game was to me, it was in a league of its own. Dude, Halo 4 just was not as good. Halo 3 was good for what it was, but when Halo Reach came out, that blew it all out of the water.
You know why? Because when Bungie was on Halo,
yes,
Bungie was just slapping and snapping, boy. They really, I don't know how they do it, but they really know how to. That's the same developers as the people who.
What happened with Destiny?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yikes.
But
I can't.
But
even think about
Bungie really had it going on back then. I mean, they really worked on inspiration. That game, those games were really good.
All right, so here we go. We're at number 1. If you have any honorable mentions, anything that didn't quite make the list but still high in your count, you could throw it out now.
I like to say Apex.
Apex Legends?
Yeah, for sure.
That's your number 1, or that's an honorable mention?
That's an honorable mention because I have to give the game some props for being so good and so balanced for so long. Like without any like absolutely everything was fixed the moment it was broken. Oh, this gun has a 5-round burst and you can kill anybody, and on YouTube you can kill anybody, and then like 2 days later the game's like, shut up, it's back to normal. Like I'm just like, what do you mean? So there's this single fire on the Hemlock, and it was completely overpowered. You could tap somebody from across the map. It'd be easy. They took it out. They reduced the fire rate, and they were like, okay, work with it. And so you work with it, and the game's good. None of the characters are overpowered. Every single thing that the character comes out with always works into the game. Like, it always works into the normal characters that are already in.
As Thanos once said, perfectly balanced. As all things should be.
But yeah, man, that has to be like one of the best balanced online competitive shooters I've ever played.
Anything else you want to add to honorable mentions before we get to the big cheese here?
Shout out to Crazy Taxi for teaching me how to be absolutely abnormal while driving.
Can't be mad at that.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I don't want to share the road with you now, but I mean, not a bad game.
a little bit of RL, go forward, RL, jump the car, something like that. Yeah.
All right, so what's the number one? Hit us. I can't speak.
Rocket League.
Ooh,
Really?
Yeah,
yes,
I have to.
That's
boy.
your number one.
I have to because
Yeah.
it's like everything about the game, the community around it. Everybody's like, it's so good. You can't complain about it. See, you can say Overwatch, but go ahead, try to play some Overwatch online in gold and try to get out of gold for a little bit. You
Yeah.
won't. You'll literally get so stressed. You'll be like, all
I
right.
don't even know what that means.
It means that Overwatch's meta is like balanced around professional players only, and it doesn't really focus on anybody trying to get from like silver to gold or gold to platinum.
Exactly.
And like it's cruel because in that game you actually do have to rely on 6 other people and what other characters they choose. If if even one of them isn't doing their job, everybody fails. So it's not, you can't carry yourself.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Now they put the 2-2-2 system, which is basically to play a little more competitively and to play on the scale and be balanced. And it's like 2 healer, 2 attack, 2 tanks.
Yeah, but that
Doesn't
still,
work. It
that
doesn't
still
work.
doesn't work.
People are still like so toxic. The game's unplayable.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
Rocket League.
you're not doing your job. No, I'm playing the character I'm supposed to be playing, man. Leave me alone.
I want to talk about exactly that in a little bit. But,
Yeah.
So Rocket League, it's your number one. I would think because it's such a simple concept. It's just
Yeah, you
soccer with cars. Like,
Simple
can't,
concept,
You can't balance that.
But
You
the
can't
game
patch it.
is so like mechanically gifted.
Yeah.
Everything about it. I don't know why, but whenever I manage to chain my car in different directions and then jump off it and score a goal, I'm just like, all right, I'm better than everybody who plays this game. Doesn't matter. What are you gonna do about it? Challenge me. Do it.
for everybody out there, Raymond wants all the smoke.
Let's get it.
All right. So Rocket League. All right. I was not expecting that, but okay. Let's Tico. What do you got?
Honorable mention number 1, Killer Instinct, for
Okay.
following me from childhood, from my father to me, and now to Raymond finally doing the ultra combo the other day for the first time.
He sucks.
Was just an absolute moment of pride for me. I love that game, and I love fighting games and everything they have to offer and bring. But another honorable mention, Rocket League, for being perfectly balanced and absolutely beautiful in every single way. It's just physics, a car, and a ball. What can you do with that? That's as good as it gets.
Can you imagine midway into the season they just turn up all the graphics to like 60 frames and you open up the game for the first time again? You're just like, oh, it looks like that now. Wow, dude.
Yeah. So, and then my absolute number 1 of all time, and I am gonna go into this because I have to. It's my favorite. Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay.
That is, like, by all means, the best game ever. Not only was it the best game ever, but it was the first Metal Gear to ever have Metal Gear Online as well. So that was my first, like, game. I plugged in my PS2 to the internet for the first time ever there. Like, before that, it was the Sega Dreamcast with Phantasy Star Online, but that's something else. So we were talking about, like, competitive online. Insanity. That game was amazing. Everything about the story... it's like totally anti-war. It's his like struggle with his mentor and all that other stuff. An amazing game. Like, I love that. And like my first time playing online, that was the first game I ever made it to the leaderboards in.
Okay.
For any amount of time. Like, I was actually there. I was up there. I have great memories. I still play it to this day. So yeah, man, this is one of the best.
It's my rainbow right there.
Yeah.
So I get a couple honorable mentions.
Sure.
First one is actually a pretty new game, Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh.
I put it up there only for me. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Japanese culture, and I've read about it as a kid, as a teenager, and I always said, why don't they make a cool samurai game? Like, they made some stuff. They made, like, what was the one? It was I can't remember. It was a fighting game where it was like kind of like samurai style with the swords. It was a Japanese name.
It's by the
know
developers that made Dead or Alive. It's
I think so.
Ninja Gaiden.
No.
Oh, okay, no.
Either way, I'm
no,
not
Samurai.
You're right.
I'm
gonna have to think of it later. I'm gonna put it
Hayabusa.
like right under this, so when you're watching it, I'm gonna put it on the
I
screen.
was like Hayabusa for sure.
Hayabusa, my boy.
No,
Anyways.
this was like a fighting game, but it was like a Anyway, like there was never a cool samurai game, and then Ghost of Tsushima came out, and I got it for my Batika got it for me, and I was just like, yo, like this is exactly the game that I've always wanted.
I've heard that like there's not that much UI in the game. Like there's not stuff all over the screen. It's just
No.
Oh yeah, the on-screen stuff very, very minimal.
yeah.
Like it only comes up when you press the button to kind of switch like a style or switch weapons or something. But it's really cool. I finished it, so I'm gonna let Raymond borrow it so
Ooh.
you guys can check it out.
Fancy.
Another honorable
He's not playing.
Another honorable mention, WrestleMania 2000 for Nintendo 64.
Wow.
Yo, taking it back.
Taking it back only because that game, the creator character was so deep. You could change everything about the guy, even like this the way he walks to the ring, like simple style, like every move, like the guy has so many moves, and you could individually change every single thing. Like we sat there for hours. Me and my best friend Drew. It was New Year's Eve 2000.
Right.
We didn't even watch the ball drop. We just sat there for hours just making characters.
Boy.
Like that to me was so much fun.
I had one of those.
That actually sounds really good, yeah.
Nah, I was with my friend. I had a PS3 in Hialeah, and I took it to his house, and he threw some like wrestling game into my stuff, and I was just like, I don't play this. What are you doing? I don't even. How does the game even work? He's just like, start messing with it, and I was like, okay, whatever. Made my own music, made my own intro. My character was booling. I was just like, yo, that's me right there. I made that character. You listen to music, yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm here now.
Right,
I didn't know how
that
to
cool
play the
shit?
game though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice, yeah.
That
Nice
being said,
character.
I also kind of maybe should throw Def Jam Fight for New York in there.
Def Jam, hello. That was one of the best fighting games, dude.
Yeah, that
was
really
great.
was.
That was really good, yo.
But I played that alone. So I like WrestleMania. I played with other people. So that it's near and dear to my heart. But now my number one. This is kind of a cop out, but just bear with me. I'm gonna say Pokemon, but I'm gonna say this series as a whole.
Oh, okay, I feel you.
Now here's the thing, because I know that's not just one game.
Hey, you could have told me that was an answer, and I was talking about Metal Gear.
I know I didn't want to just say that. I would have to say in terms of like how it impacted me, the original Blue, since that was the one I had for Game Boy, just because that was the first one I ever played.
Dang, you started with Blue?
I started from the beginning with the
started
old
with,
school, like the fat Game Boy.
I started with Crystal. I really loved that game.
Red.
No, actually Gold then Crystal. Sorry.
Okay.
Gold.
But like now, like having gone through the generations of the series, they're all the way up to Gen 8, and they have like over 800 Pokemon now. Like it's crazy.
Keep up, yeah, it's crazy.
And like the way it's evolved in the gameplay, like the stats and the matchups, and knowing how to build a team and how to train them, essentially, it's so deep. And now shout out to the Three Ninjas, because they started doing a thing last year, or actually it was even going into 2019 when Sword and Shield came out, where they would just challenge listeners, and like I started taking it real seriously, because before I played it, I didn't know what an EV or an IV was. I'm like, oh, this guy looks cool, I want him on my team.
Right.
But now, like, oh no, you're stepping into the big boys league. Like now, I started playing online with people, and I started reading about it, and like, oh no, like I wasn't even. I was barely dipping my toes in the water before.
Yeah, that's how it always feels when you transfer from like normal to online. You're like, dude, what how much wasn't I aware of playing this game?
Oh my god! And now, like, I mean, now I've since wiped the floor with them. I'm sorry, but it's true. Yeah, I kind of really now I appreciate how deep the game actually goes.
Yeah.
And I think like for Nintendo specifically, that's a thing. Like everything looks kind of like kid friendly and like family friendly on the surface, and then some of these games, when you get into it, it's like, oh no, this shit goes deep. Like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Like it looks. I never played Zelda
Wild,
games,
dog.
and then I played Breath of the Wild, and I was like, oh shit, like this game is in depth. Like there's a lot to this.
No, there's stuff that we don't even know. I've seen people do some stuff like, but flying machines. Like you can pick up a thing with another thing. Like you have mine carts. You put a mine cart under a mine cart, and you can use that to fly across the things that people have discovered in that game. Absolutely destroys my mind. Like the way they even play. The way they played when it first came out to the way they play now is completely insanity. Like it doesn't even look anything the same.
I still didn't even. I feel like I didn't even scratch the surface of that game, even though I played for
same.
Yeah.
a long time.
I
don't even want to put
hours.
a numerical value on the amount of hours I played that game, but like it's so deep. But anyway, so I would have to, if I had to be gun to my head, I would say Pokemon, the original Blue. Yeah. But the whole series for me was something that I've loved for over 2 decades now.